Good morning. Today I will be talking about the coronavirus and its impact on people in the community. It's day 64 of the quarantine. You wonder when you will be able to leave the house, go to work, or even see your loved ones. This plays in my head every single day when I wake up ever since the lockdown began due to COVID-19. It has been hard for everyone all over the world. They are feeling scared, anxious, tired, and exhausted. Not to mention the emotions of those who have tested positive, wondering if they will make it or if their families are even safe. Many people are coping by contacting family through video calls, finding ways to stay active and healthy, and trying to stay away from news that might make them anxious. Where I live in Farmington Hills, I am closer to my younger friends who are extremely upset about how the virus has affected their senior year in high school, such as prom and graduation. It makes sense for them to be angry, but they also need to see that it's out of their control, which can be very hard to understand when it's added onto the stress of the virus itself. However, I have family and relatives back in Pakistan who are dealing with the consequences of the virus in a different way. Many of them are working class who work for that day in order to bring home food for their families. The lockdown disrupts their work life and their ability to provide for their families, which is something that many of them have not prepared for and therefore are struggling with. I initially was not thinking we would be dealing with a pandemic when I first heard of the virus. That first week off of school almost did not feel real until I started going grocery shopping and seeing everyone was hoarding and stocking up, and that was when I thought that things were getting serious. Just as things came as a shock for me and others, I wanted to reach out to different community partners and listen to what they had to say about the COVID-19 pandemic. After reaching out by calls and emails to about 10 different community organizations in Detroit, I was able to get a response from the Guidance Center and the Heidelberg Project. Speaking to one of the directors for the Guidance Center, I was told that the largest challenge that they were facing was with the ability to serve their clients. Since they provide mental health care, it is important that they kept up with doing their best to provide for their community, clients, and 600 employees. Not only is service an issue, the lack of computers and phones for their employees has become a problem. Since many of the employees had offices to work and see patients in, the move to their homes has led to a shortage of funds for equipment, along with the lack of proper PPE. When I spoke to one of the directors of the Heidelberg Project, which is part of Detroit's art community, they explained to me that their biggest concern since the outbreak was a drop in funds and financial stability. Additionally, they mentioned a ripple effect that would go far beyond the end of this year because of the lack of funds, even though they have managers that are working around the clock to help secure grants. In the future, the director explained the possibilities of holding online and virtual experiences and having to heavily implement social distancing. Since the art community is very used to a face to face environment, I can understand this change can be very difficult and will take time to adjust. Both of these community organizations mentioned to me that financial aid was going to be a major necessity during these times, and I bet the same can be said about all the others who are not able to carry out their normal functions without the money, especially in the long term. Although I was not able to get any other direct replies from the other 8 community organizations, I felt as though I got solid replies from these two. They explained all the issues that came up for the organizations, but the fact that the funds and not being able to serve their community directly came up in both made it clear that the pandemic is blocking a majority of their work. The scariest news that I heard personally was when I found out that my family friend's parents tested positive for the virus. Since they were working as a physical therapist, it was a fear that they had each time they went to the office, since not everyone is able to get a hold of the proper PPE, and it was just scary to see that it's starting to get closer and closer. Hearing that news, along with one of my other friends' entire family testing positive, made me reflect and think about how much people in the medical community are risking their lives every day, on top of fast food employees, drugstore employees, and those working in supermarkets. I hope that they are given the rewards and recognition that they deserve because I do not know where we would be if they were not putting in the work that they are for all different kinds of communities around them. As of right now, I am taking time off of unnecessary news on the internet and TV and doing my best to focus on my schoolwork and things I can control. Even though I'm not able to contribute to the communities around me, I appreciate all their hard work and can only begin to understand their struggle. It can only get worse before it gets better. The coronavirus has clearly hit communities around me, but it is hard to know that not everyone is hit the same way and that there are many people who have it way worse than us. It is definitely going to affect life afterwards, considering the social distancing and overall health codes and social procedures. I still worry about how long it's going to take for things to go back to normal, even though I know it will take a long time. I sometimes don't even want to believe that. I worry for my family and friends, whether or not they have been infected. However, it gives me hope that I have a few friends to always talk to. I have a strong relationship with my family friends as well, and all of us are helping each other out by getting food or other things that we might need. Also, it helps having some medical professionals in my family that I can rely on for information when I need it. I hope that all the different community organizations will be soon back on their feet and helping out those in need in order to keep their community alive and flourishing. I especially wish this for the countries and cities where the virus has been very destructive. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you all stay safe and healthy.